Hey guys, welcome back. So in our last video, we created kind of a block out for our Guru character, just doing a silly dance, right? As just a quick exercise. And in this video, let's just take maybe a little bit closer look at the actual facial rig controllers, and just maybe we can create just another kind of experiment. So one of the challenges right now, right, this is where we ended our last video, is the character is, if I select all the controllers, you can see the character is animated on 0, 7, and 14, and that's our little loop from previous video. And I encourage you to watch that too, because we also went through the process of importing the character into Maya. But now, how do we put the character back in the default T-pose once we, created some animations instead of re-importing the character back in? So what you could do is you could just select all of the controllers on frame 0, and then what you could do, you could just simply select and drag the translate values and the rotation values and just press 0 and then press enter. And that's going to automatically put the character back in kind of in this case, it's the A pose, right? Now, I still have the keyframes for 7 and 14, so I can just, of course, hold down the Shift key, and let me just drag a selection, right-click, and say Delete. And now you might have to drag this around for it to snap back into place. All right, but this is a clever way to quickly reset the character back into the original default pose. All right, very cool. So now let's go ahead and take a look at maybe some of the controllers that we are offered in the face controller section. So if I open that up, you can see this little panel comes up. And the cool thing about these is you can move them around. So if I drag and select both of them and press W, I can actually just move them around. They're almost like, think of this like a TV remote controller, right? You can put them wherever you want, but they will control the face, right? So in this case, I'm just gonna move them aside a little bit. And for this exercise, let's just decide what we want our character to do. Again, in the previous video, we went over some of these and we took a look at and saw how this is actually controlling the character, right? If you drag these little points, you can see these are the eyebrows and so on. And then one of the things maybe we didn't do in our last video is there's these little two icons down here. If I select one of them, that's going to give you more control over the actual lip syncing, right? So you can do individual sounds. So if you import like an audio file, you can keyframe each sound and have this and have Guru, have a full-on dialogue. And then of course, in our last video, we dragged around this little thing, and that's going to be able to kind of, run through these kind of automatically and just and achieve the same result by just dragging and blending and merging. So that's like a faster way of controlling it. But sometimes if you want something really specific and individual sound, you can use these, right? You can just click on this little A. And then another thing is in here, there's just a little expression with the smiley face on the bottom. So that gives you a few predefined facial expressions that are called control emotions. So the way that works is if I just click on one of these to the left of it, right, it gets selected, and then I can just middle mouse drag and I can see what that is. So this is going to be our happy. Let's go through these real quick. This is going to be our angry. And the nice thing is these are presets, right? So you can just simply activate them by setting a keyframe for each one. So this is surprise. We got fear. What else we got? Disgust and contempt. Kind of a little bit happy, right? So that's cool. All of these are really, really helpful. And in this case, let's just come up with kind of a silly mini experiment. I always try to make these kind of short so it doesn't drag out for hours and hours, but let's just do a quick little simple animation. Maybe in this case, the character is, maybe he's going to look up, and then maybe something falls on his head and he kind of goes through the action of getting hit, and then maybe he just kind of nods his head and makes like a little facial expression. Just something basic and simple, right? Just give us a little warm up to play around with some of these controllers. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is, instead of having the guy or Gru stand in this A pose, maybe let's go ahead and lower his arm so he's kind of just standing, right? So I'm going to click on this blue controller, hold on the Shift key, select this one, press E. And if I double click on this rotation, the rotate settings will come up, and then in here just make sure that the axis orientation is set to object, and that's going to allow you to control both arms at the same time. So in this experiment, we're not going to see the hands, so we don't really need to worry about them. But you know, if you want to make them look a little more natural for whatever reason, now every time I rotate this, I am noticing that there's a little rip. So I'm going to press W, and I can just move this back into position, kind of hide that armpit. So maybe a little forward, right? So that's okay. All right. And then let's say, you know, if you want to keep him standing, maybe in your shot that you're doing, you want to have the full character being seen. So if that's the case, maybe one of the things you could do is just make a more natural looking hand resting pose, right? So let's select this, press E. Let's just fold these just a little bit, right? We'll just fold them in, and honestly, I'm going to fold them in just like this, just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 fingers, just the 3, and let's just fold these in a little more. And you can kind of have this resting hand pose. Let's grab this thumb right here and just kind of maybe bring this down. And maybe that's a little more natural, right? It's totally up to you. I'm just playing around at this point. But let's do the same thing here. I'm going to select all of these. Just kind of just standing there. All right, very cool. Again, in my case, I'm not going to even show the hands, but I just wanted to show you that little trick. All right, cool. Let's set up a scene here. So the shot is going to be, and I'm just going to even use the perspective camera. If you wanted to, maybe just for the sake of exercise, why not actually bring a camera? Let's create a camera and we'll drop one in. Press W, move it out of the way. We can't see it very well because it's small. I'm going to press R, maybe scale this a little more. And now we have a camera, right? Now the next thing we want to do is we want to look through this camera. So I'm going to go to panels. Let's go to camera 1. All right, so that's going to be our camera. Middle mouse wheel is going to control the zoom. Holding down the Alt and then clicking middle mouse button will pan your shot. And you can kind of, you know, align your camera as you wish. And then in the channel box here, you can see that there's something called focal length. Currently it's set to 35, but we can also adjust this as well. So that's going to give you kind of a different effects for your camera angles. So you can play around with that as well. I'm just going to leave it at 35, right? All right, very cool. Now, what would be the next step? Next step, let's figure out what is he going to avoid or what's going to drop on his head. All right, so let's bring a prop. I'm going to grab this cylinder, and let me actually zoom out for a second, and let me create the cylinder right there in the floor. We'll do something like that. That's fine. Next, let's go ahead and change the translate values to 0 them out and put this prop up here. Let's zoom back in. All right, and now we have something like this. So now we have something to play with. So we have Gru, and now we have this cylinder, so we can do something with this. So maybe what I'm thinking is it's gonna like hit his head and then go back up, just for fun, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take all of these points here, and I'm going to press B to turn off my soft select, and let's just do something like that. Okay, so for whatever reason, he's standing underneath this cylinder, and that's just going to start kind of whacking him in the head, right? And if we wanted to, we could just make this a little bit longer, go to object mode. All right, so now we have this to play with. All right, let's do this. Let's select our cylinder. And on frame 0, I'm going to press S. And let me just maybe move this up a little more. Okay. And then maybe on frame 4, I'm going to press S. And for whatever reason, this thing just hits him in the head. Okay. And then let's do this. Let's keep it there for a couple frames. So I'm going to press S. And then on 9, I'm going to pull it back up. And essentially, I want this to go back up to 0, right? So I'm going to actually copy this keyframe, go to 9, and let's just do a paste. Okay. And now all of this is happening at 24 frames per second. So if I press play, we can see what that looks like. We can see if we like that, if we like the timing, or if it's a little bit too fast or too slow. Maybe it's just a little bit too fast. I'm going to switch this to 30 frames. And let's just move these around, right? So I'm going to press Shift and click on 9. And let me just move this to, let's move it to like 18. And I'm totally making this up. I'm just playing around, trying to figure out what timing is going to work, right? Let's go ahead and hold down the Shift key, select all of these. Let's move them out as well. Let me hold down Shift on 9 and move this to like 12. And let me just see if I like the timing a little bit better. Okay. I would like him to get whacked much, much faster. And I would like the cylinder to be there a little bit shorter. Yeah, I like this. I think that's pretty good. Now, the reason I'm doing all this is because I'm just showing you how important timing is, right? So timing in animation is pretty much everything. And even something as simple as the cylinder, you really want to take your time and play the animation in the loop and see if it feels good, right? You want to make sure that the timing feels nice. So in this case, I'm pretty happy with this. So now we can just move on and let's play with the facial expressions, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's select all of the controllers, right? Just select all of these. Oh, by the way, I just zoomed out. Let me do this. Let's select a camera position that we like. And let's keep it, so we'll bookmark it. So let's say I like this a lot, right? This is perfect for my shot. So what I could do is I can come up here and click on this little bookmark, and it looks like nothing happened. But if you right click on it, you can see camera view 1 has been bookmarked right up here, which means if we zoom out and do whatever, right? Just do something else, then right click and click on camera view 1, we're gonna go back to that bookmark, which is very, very helpful, right? So in this case, what I want to do now is I want to select all of these controllers, and I want to make sure that we have keys set for all of them, right? So if I select this, press S, you can see there's a red keyframe. I don't need 7 and 14. I think we deleted that already. So let's go ahead and do that. And now let's go back to our bookmark and take a look, right? Very cool. So now we have the cylinder animated, we have the controllers keyed on frame 0. Now we can start changing the actual facial expressions. All right, in addition to the controllers, let's also select all of this, and let's press S on all of these as well, right? So that's all gonna turn red. And if you select any one of these points, doesn't matter which one, you wanna make sure that you have this red line there indicating that that has a starting point, right? A key set point, which means now if we start dragging our timeline, and maybe right here as the cylinder starts to drop down on his head, he realizes that something's coming down and he looks up, right? So what we should do is let's select all 4 of these and let's just simply move them up. And when we let go, we should see another keyframe being set automatically by our auto keyframe toggle, right? So now on frame 0, he's looking at us, but then he starts to look up and then he gets hit. Now, as he gets hit, there's going to be some impact, right? So let's go ahead and animate that. So one of the things that will actually be super helpful if we could see through the cylinder, so we can see, we can select these controllers pretty easily. So let's do this. Let's select this guy. We'll add him to a new layer. And let's turn this into a template. Now the template means we can see through it essentially, right? So it's still there, but now for a few minutes, let's just keep it kind of in a wireframe mode so we can select our controllers, right? So now I'm going to select this controller here, and what I would like to do is I'm going to set a key on 3. I'm going to press S, and then right here when he gets whacked, I'm going to press S again, press W, and I'm just going to move this whole head down. So it just got squished by hitting from the top, right? So you have something like this, and maybe on 6 it continues to go down even more. You know, let's just make it a little more dramatic. I know it's going, his ears are going through the scarf. I'm okay with that for now. We can adjust that in a second. But then maybe the head kind of goes back up. And then here, let's keep it on normal again. So I'm going to copy 3, and let's go to like 14 and do a paste. And that's, we know that's going to be the normal, right? Because that's how it was on, you know, in the beginning, right? And so now what we could do is, let's just play our animation. And I'm going to switch this back to reference mode, and let's play and see what how it's looking. I'm not, it's a little bit too laggy or jerky for me on my screen. I'm actually going to switch this to, let me try 30 frames per second. And let's see if that's a little bit smoother. And I think it is. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. I'm going to keep it on 30 on my end. And if you want to adjust, oh, by the way, this is a good little tip. Now, when you adjust a lot of times the frame rate, you will see that your keyframes will go from this solid line to kind of this dashed line. And that just means that this is not aligned perfectly with the frame count, right? It's kind of in between 17 and 18, telling you it's not really a solid 5, right? Like this is 3.6 or something. So what you could do is you could select this line, right click, and then you can do snap. And you see what that did, right? It adjusted the keyframe to be more even at 30 frames per second. So now it's 18. So I can do that to all of these, right? I can just go through and kind of fix them. And you can, of course, shift select them all if you wanted to. But let's go ahead and press play. And I think that feels pretty good. Let's just continue with our animation, right? So let's talk this through. So now he gets hit, and then maybe he comes up, and then right here, maybe we want him to look back at us instead of looking up. So maybe let's select these again, and let's move him back down, and just kind of make contact with us, right, as the audience. And let's see what we got. So he's kind of dealing with the fact that that's there, and there's not much he can do. Whatever the circumstances, that's the shot, right? So next, another thing I could do is let's just add a little more movement to the actual body. So what I could do, let's do this. I'm going to select this controller here, and as he gets hit right here, I'm going to press S, and then I would like the whole body to come down, and then right here to go back up. So I'm going to say press S on 14. So now I have 2 keys just holding the body as is. And then right here, when he gets hit, maybe on 8, let's press S, and let's just select this again, this red controller, press W. Let's just move the whole thing down just a little. All right. Hold down the, let's select the shoulders as well, both of them, holding down the shift key. And let's do the same thing. So right here, we're going to hold the shoulders. I'm going to press S. And you know what? Let's just actually move them down a little. Then right here, he's going to get hit. And we want the shoulders come up, right? Because there's like this impact. And then right here, he starts to come back up, so the shoulders could come back down. And if we wanted to reset them to the original, we can press right click on 0 and go to like 16 and do a paste. And now we know the shoulders are going to settle back into the original position. All right, let's review and see what that looks like. As we see them being animated, we can see that this got animated somehow as well, but that doesn't really matter because you know what? We're gonna actually not even show that, right? That's gonna be invisible. and these are going to be invisible, right? We're just going to preview our animation without all the controllers anyway. So let's press play. All right, so it's starting to look pretty cool, except I think there's some mistiming clearly, right? So let's just fix that. I'm going to select the cylinder and let's walk through this again. Right here, he gets hit, but I'm going to press W, and I would like to make the contact sooner. So then it kind of stays on top of his head a little more. Let's go to 6, press S, or I guess just slide this down even more. I really want that contact to be on top of his head for a little bit longer, right? So now we have boom, and then right here, move it down, but then it starts to go up. And I can, of course, snap this into position as well. Let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Now the eyes are not in good timing with the cylinder, right? I'm not liking the eyes. So let's go back to all of this stuff. And actually, we don't really need the body controllers anymore. Unless we want to do something with the scarf and the ears, right? But you guys can play around with that. I think the scarf could be controlled. I think it's these here. Let's see if that's true. Yeah, okay. Well, let's animate the scarf as well. So what I could do is I can select, I'm going to select this guy here first, and let's just figure out where the ear is going to go through the scarf, right? So right here, I'm going to hold it, I'm going to press S, then it goes through the scarf, so I need to adjust it, and then let me find where it goes back to normal, which is right here. So I'm going to press S again, and now let me find the area where the problem is right here. So let's just start moving this over. All right, I think that's pretty good. Maybe it could just be out a little more. And let's do the same thing on this side as well, right? I'm gonna go, let's find this controller here, and let's do the same thing. I'm gonna wait till it's goes through. So this is okay. I'm gonna press S. Right here is gonna be okay as well. And right here is the problem. So I'm gonna start moving this over. Okay. And let's play and see if that's better. Yeah, I think so. And the scarf kind of adds even more commotion to the whole animation. All right, so I think that's pretty funny. Now, it's clearly still, we need to adjust the eyes, right? So let's go back to the eyes. And I think I'm done with the controllers for the body, right? So we can just leave that turned off, actually. Now, I am seeing ripping again here. So how do I fix that? Let me try to maybe fix this real quick. So right here, I see a little rip. So what do you want to do? Again, find the area before the problem, which is here, and then after the problem. And then you want to go to the problem, and let's just see if we can adjust this. But I'm going to drag it forward. So I'm going to essentially just hide his skin there, right? Let me jump back into my bookmark, and let's review. All right, so that's a little bit better, right? Now you're not seeing that skin there. All right, let me hide the body controllers and press play. I'm gonna leave the body ones off now, right? We don't really need to do anything else with the body. But let's figure out if we like the eyes. So he looks up, and then he gets hit, and the timing for some reason doesn't work here. I think it's because he starts to look at the camera too soon. So let's just find out where that happens. I'm going to select these four, and on 18 we have him look at us, and on 14 he's still, I'm going to press W, he still needs to look up. So that's important, right? Let's see if that's a little bit better. Yeah, I think it is. And now let's play around with this. Now we know that we have some expressions that are pre-made for us. Let's just take advantage of those, right? If I click on this, you can see it right there. And what I'm going to do is let's set a key right here. to hold the all the 0 values. But then right here, let's create, after he gets hit, he goes into one of these expressions. So maybe he's not going to be happy, so maybe he's going to be angry, right? And we can see what that looks like. So then he's normal, and then he gets hit, he goes into our angry face, and then lets him fade back to normal, right? So I'm going to press S, go back to on 31, and then on 38 I'm going to press S, and let me change this angry back to 0, because we want to have a perfect loop, right? So then 38 and 0 are going to be the same. I see the eyes are moving, so let me just select these eyes, and let me copy the eyes from 0 to 38. All right, I just want to make sure that's a perfect loop. Now I see some issues here. I'm going to snap that even. All right, let's just play the animation. And we can hide our controllers. All right, so that's pretty funny. We can add more as well. Let's go ahead and maybe also, let's just add like a little smirk. That would be kind of cool. Let's figure out where the smirk should come in. So maybe right here, I'm gonna press S to hold the original position of the smirk, which is gonna be normal, right? And right here, maybe he can go into a smirk like that. Like he's not too happy with this whole situation. And then slowly, maybe he can, on 38, he needs to go back to normal, right? So let's go ahead and we can just change these translate values right here. We'll set them back to 0. And that will reset that value, right? And let's just play and see if we like that. Yeah, I think that's cute, but you get the idea. So now you can just add more and more expressions. And I just wanted to kind of show you the workflow of adding more and you know, continuously adjusting and experimenting and see what works. One of the things I'm noticing is that it would be really cool if his nose did something, right? So maybe as he gets hit, the nose, let's go ahead and press select the nose, and then on 0 it's we have the key set right here. I'm going to press S on 4, and then right here maybe the nose can go down, and then right here it can go back up, and then right here it needs to be normal. So let's just play around with this. So he gets hit, I'm going to press S, press E, bring the nose down, or actually the nose would come up, right, because of the momentum of the cylinder. So you got boom, the nose comes up, and then right here as the head starts to go up, the nose actually goes down, and then it kind of settles back in. Let's turn this off and see if that actually works. So a lot of this is just experiment and exploration. I like it, but I think it's a little too dramatic. Maybe we can soften this up a little bit. So maybe this is a little too crazy. Let's press E. Let's bring the nose up a little bit, and then right here it's gonna come down, but it feels to me like the timing is a little off. So yeah, I think that's a little bit better. All right, so I encourage you guys to keep exploring, playing, and seeing what you can come up with. And at the end of the day, just have fun, right? If you wanted to add a quick blink right here, maybe he could do a quick blink. How do we do that? We actually haven't, we didn't take a look at the blinks yet. What we could do is, I think it's these green controllers right here. So if I select, let's go ahead and zoom in a little more. If we select this one and press W, we can see that this is actually controlling the eyelids, right? So to create a blink, I'm just gonna go to 29, press S, 38, press S, and then on 32, let's just do the bottom lids. We'll close them up. And now let's do the same thing with the top, right? All right, and let's just close them. So now, just like the other one on 29, I'm gonna press S, 38, and then 32. I'm just gonna close them. So now he's gonna do a full blink. All right, let's go ahead and close this and see how that's looking. All right, so I kind of like that. I think it's pretty cool. Let's just stop the video here, but you get the idea. So it's a lot of fun. Play around with your own keyframe sequence and see what else you can add to the shot and make it, you know, funny. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in our next one.